Coming up on Mountain News this morning, one woman is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after a house fire in Mount Sterling this past weekend. And we hear from Breonna Taylor's family after learning that one of the officers involved with her death has been fired.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Lacey Roberts, and thank you for joining me on Mountain News this morning. Today is Monday, June 22nd, a new start to the week, and it's a little muggy outside with those showers that we had overnight. There may be a little bit of scattered rain today. Let's bring in Brandon Robinson to talk about that forecast. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, Lacey. You've hit it in a nutshell today. We're looking at some warm and mild temperatures. It's the first full week of summertime, though. Summer solstice was on Saturday at 5:43 in the afternoon. So we're seeing those mild and muggy temperatures this morning on the temperature map. 70 at Logan and in Middlesboro. Everybody else in the mid to upper 60s, really close to 70 there, with the exception of Wise hanging out there in the low 60s, 64 there. When you factor in those dew points, yeah, it's instant sweat and uncomfortable and sticky out there across the entire region there. So 60 or above on those dew points. Out the door forecast going to feature a few isolated to stray rain chances, and temperatures will top out today right around 85. So a sticky feeling type day. But tomorrow things change. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And Sunday was a special day for dads everywhere, but one Lexington family is especially thankful to be celebrating Father's Day all together. After one man's school project helped save his father's life, Hunter Brown is a sonography student. His dad let him perform a scan, not expecting to find anything. However, they discovered his dad had a horrible case of aortic stenosis. Just 2 weeks later, he had open heart surgery. This year was his first Father's Day since then, and he says it has a new meaning.
Absolutely. For me, I get to be here and see my family, my kids, my grandkids, and we've got one on the way. It's amazing to me. I don't take anything for granted anymore. I'm blessed to have a son that did what he did.
Hunter says that he's just happy that everything worked out for them. The Browns spent this Father's Day grilling out and spending time together by the pool. And later today, friends and family members will say their final goodbyes to Carol Barr, Congressman Andy Barr's wife. She died unexpectedly last week at the age of 39 due to a heart issue. Her funeral will be streamed online at 11 from Southland Christian Church. The family is asking that any potential donations go to the American Heart Association. And U.S. Senate candidate Charles Booker is holding 2 rallies here in the mountains later today ahead of tomorrow's Democratic primary. The Louisville representative has seen a surge in the weeks leading up to the primary as he looks to challenge Senator McConnell in the fall. He will host rallies in Hazard at City Hall starting at 9:30 this morning, and a second rally in Pikeville at the City Park around 12:30 in the afternoon. And more protesters in Kentucky say weeks of work are making a difference. We're now hearing from Breonna Taylor's family after learning about Brett Hankinson's termination. He's one of the officers who was involved in Taylor's death back in March, who the acting chief of the LMPD says blindly fired 10 rounds into a patio door and window. Her cousin says this first step is promising, but they are asking for more.
They're working on justice. They're working on it. We just need the other two. And then we got to work on the world coming together as one and working on the officers as basically retraining the officers, better justice.
Every time someone is killed, someone has to be punished. And to shoot blindly into a house is just, it's ridiculous.
The family's legal team is asking prosecutors to charge all 3 officers involved. And as protests over the shooting of Breonna Taylor continue 3 months after her death, one group is pushing for a permanent memorial for Taylor. With the help of the Biker Brigade, Tamika Palmer, Game Changers, and Mayor Fisher have been working to turn a makeshift memorial for Taylor in the center of Jefferson Square Park into a permanent one.
We want the effort kind of driven home to the public about how we want to create this space as Breonna Taylor Fountain Circle. Simple as that.
So we want to bring something positive and come and create this movement. I mean, we want to be part of it.
Each biker donated money in cash at the end of the ride. They gave Tamika Palmer more than $1,800. Community members, pastors, and leaders came together in Georgetown on Saturday, pushing for change in their community. Prayer and unity were the two focuses in Georgetown, with people gathered to honor the lives lost to police brutality. Kiana Fields, who organized the gathering, points out that those are big cases, but racial injustice can come in many different forms.
We haven't necessarily reached the levels of police brutality, but that doesn't mean that biases don't still exist within our school systems, don't still exist within the hiring practices of the city, within the policy.
Organizers say that they understand this kind of change takes more than one day, but they hope they started a conversation within Georgetown. And for about 1 month, protesters have been out in downtown Lexington nearly every night, protesting against police brutality and asking for more police accountability. Many nights they make their way to the Lexington police station to show police that they are not backing down. But yesterday, an entirely different group was gathered in front of the police headquarters. Krista Frost was there yesterday and shows how this group spent their Sunday sending messages of support to police.
They're just really the silent majority, and we just want them to know that we're here and we're behind them.
Racial tensions are at an all-time high, and the frustration is aimed at these guys. But a group of people crowded outside the police station in Lexington today to let them know they're not alone.
Just to make sure that the guys and the girls that are still working here know that people care about them and support them, and because it's a tough time. This is when morale gets challenged the most in a police department.
Police departments across the nation are facing pressure to change drastically because of police brutality. And the people out here today aren't talking controversy, but they do say every police department is drastically different.
Police department cultures vary 10 minutes from one another. They vary 100 miles from each other. And I hope people, including our council and mayor and vice mayor, remember that it is possible for a department to be better than or more progressive than other departments.
Something these supporters say makes Lexington ready to have a real and honest conversation about how to change things for the better.
We have a lot of good dialogue that's capable here because I've watched it for years. And the grassroots efforts inside the community are beautiful. And so if everybody just, I do believe, continue to let your voice be heard for sure. But to always remember that we are in a place where I think people can sit down and have a dialogue that may not be able to happen an hour away or 2 hours away right now.
In Lexington, Krista Frost, WKYT.
Now, supporters say that they threw together the rally at the last minute to be a support system for officers. There were no counter-protesters. And one woman in Beattyville is doing her part to give back to local businesses by giving away a free cake on Facebook every week. She has been doing this for the past 10 weeks, making cakes in the shape of everything from Lysol cans to garbage trucks. And she says that she wants to match each cake to each frontline worker.
We've had over 1,000 entries, and with those entries, whatever the profession was that they got that week, like if it was a nurse, a doctor, garbage truck, or whatever, I tried to design the cake around their profession.
Michelle says that since she started the giveaway, there have been more than 1,000 entries.
It's time now for our Daily Helpers and Heroes segment, where we highlight folks across the region on the front lines. And we start this morning with a picture from Peggy. This is her daughter, Carla Ramey. Carla is a pharmacy tech at Hope Family Pharmacy in Salyersville. Thank you, Carla, for all that you're doing during all of this. Our next picture was submitted by Sally. This is Allie and Keita Mullins. They both work at the Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter in Hazard as volunteers. With people not working right now and staying at home, I'm sure adoptions of our four-legged friends are taking a hit. These two, along with many others, are helping to make sure the animals are cared for and loved until adoptions pick them up or a rescue group comes and takes them to their forever homes. Thank you both for being awesome. The next picture comes to us from John. This is his mother, Joy Dean. Joy is normally an infectious disease nurse at MCHC's Whitesburg location, but during the the pandemic, she's been traveling around offering her services at other MCHC locations. John says she works hard to make sure every patient she sees is number one in her book and well cared for. Thank you, Joy, for your service. And finally, our last picture today was sent in by Sandy. This is her sister, Kathy King. Kathy works at Dr. King's office at Pikeville Medical Center, making sure their patients are taken care of now and always. Sandy wanted to let Kathy know that she is her hero, and we'll second that, Miss Sandy. All right, if you want to submit your helper and hero, you can do that one of two ways. You can go over to WYMT.com. On the drop-down menu on the left side of the page, you can click on the Helpers and Heroes link. Otherwise, you can send those to me, those pictures, and some info. Make sure you include some info, too, because we'll make sure we highlight those folks properly, to my Facebook page, Brandon Robinson, WYMT. Lacey?
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, we hear from one health professional about how to stay safe while traveling this summer as COVID-19 restrictions ease across the country.